It's time for today's face-off on Fox Soul. Challengers Quan LX and Big Angry Adams ready to go blow by blow on those hot topics. Face-off on Fox Soul starts right now.
All here, guys. Kayla Nicole was on Angel Reese's podcast saying she would never go 50-50 split on bills with Travis Kelce, who is now with multimillionaire Taylor Swift. Why do women always hate 50-50 split, Lala? What's the deal with that?
You know, I think it depends, like, how you were raised and if you're, like, old school or new school. I do think a man should pay most of the bills, but I don't mind helping out. I don't mind helping out with, like, the groceries, the light bills, something light, you know?
That's the easy stuff.
If we're living together, I think the man should take care of the woman. I'm old school, and that's the way it should be.
In this round, here's Quan LX.
Charles, we just watched one of our great contemporaries, the Isaiah Factor, and Isaiah was interviewing some men and women about the issue in relationships. Should women go 50-50 with men? And I believe they had Travis Kelce's former girlfriend, African-American sister, beautiful black woman, who said that she would never, ever go 50-50 with a man, including Travis Kelce. Well, I think that our dear sister, to some degree, is very delusional, because Travis Kelce walked away from that sister, hooked up with a white girl who's worth over $1 billion. And now there's other women who've been saying this quite a bit, that they're not going 50-50 with a man. And they want a traditional man who believes in paying all of the bills, and he's the head of the household. Well, then any woman that wants a man to truly be the head of the household and not go 50-50 with that man, well, then your traditional role is to submit to that man in the relationship and follow his lead and follow his guidance. But I'll be damned, I would ever have any woman tell me she's not going to submit to me in a relationship, but oh, by the way, you pay all the bills. Something's wrong with that picture, Charles.
You know, when we were preparing for this segment, you made a bunch of horrifying comments about women's genitalia that I expected you to get out here and smack down on the TV. But instead, I got this kindler, gentler Quan LX who is talking about traditional, or what the kids call trad roles for women who have the expectation of traditional financial dynamics of a household. The truth is that men paying is downstream from women not being able to work, and if they were able to work, they're working in menial, low-paying labor jobs, as opposed to the professional jobs that we see many women not just participating in, but dominating, like my profession as a lawyer. When I was licensed in 2000 after being a police officer for a few years, and there were a huge number of women in law school. But 20 years earlier, in the 70s and 80s, 20, 30 years earlier, there were not a lot of opportunity for women in that space. The same thing with physicians and bankers and just about everything. So possibly time has moved on. But I will say, as someone who is married to my wife for a very, very long time, and we have 2 adult children, that when I was a police officer, financially we couldn't cut it, right? She worked, and most of her money went to daycare and her car note, but she had to work for us to tread water financially while I was working and going to school.
And you had a good woman. You had a very good wife.
But the moment
her desires and her appetite did not supersede the reality of your circumstance and situation.
Okay.
I got a problem, Charles, with women in particular. You got 2, 3, 4, 5 kids. You meet a good man, and with those 4 kids, he's still taking you. With those 3 babies, he's still willing to take you. But you tell that man, I want you to pay half the bills. Wait a minute. You done dated everybody in the whole neighborhood. You done slept with the entire football team. You in the club where everybody know your name, because you done hooked up with him after y'all had breakfast at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning. And then you going to tell a good man, I want you to pay all the bills.
Well,
Charles,
why are you assuming the woman's the hoe and the man's
I'm not
the good
saying
man?
that, but
Who's
Charles,
saying the good man ain't been catting all around
but wait
town,
a minute,
ain't
Charles,
left kids in his
but
wake
he's not
all over
asking
the...
that woman to pay all his bills.
Okay.
How in the hell, if you done knocked off the entire city, you gonna ask a man to pay all your bills? You got some of these women, Charles. You got some women to where you meet these women. They got 3, 4 different baby daddies. You got to tie a board to your back so you don't fall in when it's time to get sweet love.
But here's
and
the
Charles,
thing. Here's the thing.
I'm
First
sorry,
of all,
it ain't happening,
I'm
brother.
sorry it's so little. That's a personal problem, not a us problem. That's
If
one.
she'd have slept with the whole neighborhood,
Two.
all the rappers know her.
I wouldn't have a problem, but that's
The
just
whole
me,
Rockets
ladies.
lineup know her?
But
Okay.
at the end of the day, so look, the moment that we decided that that we could get by with her not working, we decided that as together that she should be focused on the kids, because that's how you raise high-performing kids, is one parent, typically the woman, although it doesn't have to be, playing that primary caregiver role. My wife has started working again just in the last couple of years because the kids are grown. We got a
But
doctor,
Charles, when you
and
met
she's
your wife,
making a bunch
how
of
many
money.
baby daddies she had?
Well, she didn't have any.
Thank you. Charles,
Okay.
a woman must be out her mind. She'd have been all on social media, twerking up and down on social media.
Okay, Paul.
She bragging about everybody she didn't dated on social media,
Okay, it's a
taking
different-
pictures with the whole lineup,
Okay, but it's
and
a
then gonna
different-
tell you when we get married,
It
we
is-
you gotta pay all the
It
bills.
is a very different age.
So if a
But
man
I
pay
think-
all the bills,
I
what do he
think
get in
love
return?
is love.
If a man pay all the bills,
the
what do he
hope
get in
would
return?
be a reciprocal relationship where two people do nice things for each other and have a beautiful marriage.
And that's all he get. So he pay all the bills, and he get.
So-
wait a minute, Charles.
so
He
you-
pay all the bills, and he getting some coochie with more miles on it than a Toyota
so
84
what you're
Honda.
saying
But yet he pay
is-
all the bills, Charles.
Is a woman with experience has expired coochie? Is that what you're saying?
Let me tell you something. Some of these women out here got more miles on than a 1984
Well,
Honda,
some of
but yet want a man to pay all her
But
bills.
you
Charles.
always contextualize men in a
Charles,
positive and women in a negative.
that's what-
it is. Men that aren't staying around. It's men that are leaving children
Charles,
in their
the
way.
show-
It's
the
men
show
that are
today is
getting
about
women
women
pregnant
who
and
say
not
they
doing,
would
but
not
that's
pay
all
half
you
the
wanna
bills.
do.
But the show today is about women who say they won't pay half the bills.
And I think that's a concept holdover from yesteryear.
And let me tell you
From the
something.
misogyny of yesteryear.
No
I
man-
would agree
let me say this,
that if
man.
a woman's making a good living and is a profession,
Help
and the
out.
man is supporting
Help
her in that
out.
profession,
Help
then they
out.
should probably split it. But if your man wants a woman
and
in a
all he
more
get is
traditional
some
role,
poo nanny.
it could be top shelf poo nanny.
Let me tell you something. I don't give a damn what shelf it's coming from. If everybody in the neighborhood didn't ring through it, the whole Rockets lined up, and now you headed toward the whole Texans team, ain't nowhere in the hell you gonna come and tell me you got to pay all my
Okay, but
bills.
why do you always
Charles,
look at women
Charles,
as they're
Charles,
all
why
running
is
around
he-
getting
Charles,
ganged?
no, listen to me, Charles.
Can I say
it's
that
about
word gang
women.
with a B? But you never talk about men being the problem.
Any
being the
man
creating
that's
the
telling
problem.
a woman to pay all his bills, that ain't no man.
I will tell you
that's
this.
a coward.
I
ain't no real man letting any
will-
woman pay all his
I'm gonna
bills.
give you- I'm gonna hit
He's
you-
weak as hell
I'm
if
gonna
he
hit
does
you with
that.
one statistic.
Go ahead.
That actually supports your viewpoint in some
ahead.
ways. So if you look at divorce rates in America over the last 5 years, right, since we've had a normalization, legalization of gay marriage, male-female couples float around 50% in this country. Male-to-male marriages, their divorce rates are around 26%. Female-to-female divorce rates, 76%. I don't know, man.
Charles.
Maybe the men aren't the problem.
Charles.
I do think men behave
Charles,
poorly
let me say this.
and leave a lot of babies and don't take care of their
Charles.
responsibilities.
Charles,
But
you got the women out here who are glorifying how many their body counts. You with me?
okay, but it's
Like
we're
a woman,
old men.
Like
It's
the woman,
a different
like
age.
the woman who wrote the book Superhead, Karen Steffens.
Okay.
Wrote the book Superhead. Can you imagine her telling some man to pay all her bills?
Yeah, I mean, if the guy was in love with her.
And you mean tell me she been deep throated by the whole
Look,
North America,
look,
and you gonna pay all your damn
firstly,
bills?
the goal should be to make enough
Pay
money.
all your bills.
The goal should be to make enough money as a man that
Look,
you ain't worried about
As
these
a woman,
bills.
you should help out,
But-
and he should help out too.
But really, I mean, women and men both, just be nice to each other.
Exactly.
Be in love. Be with someone
And
you
help
love.
carry the load.
Okay. I'm gonna leave that load.
You installed for a 1-year-old baby.
Biggie bang bang. Biggie biggie. Heavy heavy. Heavy. Biggie biggie. Heavy heavy. You're the one I want oh. Before my liver start to fail. You're the one I need oh. Before cassava start to fail. If I ever leave oh. Make what I carry me they go far away.
In this round, here's Charles Big Angry Adams.
I'd like to say initially, before the break, he made a comment about carrying the load, and because of FCC compliance issues, I did not respond with a tacky comment about what wives carried loads. Now, secondly, I know we're supposed to be talking about this baby hair nonsense.
Yeah, there's no sign say wide, low.
But what I'd like to do,
proceed with caution.
I'd like Quanell. Well, I don't know. Was this your story, Quanell? Because if we could just tell me where that store was, where they selling the baby hair, because I will get me. I mean, you see that baby went from not much baby hair
Charles, that's child abuse.
to luscious.
That's borderline child abuse.
Man, it is not. This, parents have been doing this nonsense
Let me tell you why, Charles.
Ever.
Because really, a lot of these like weaves and a lot of this sew-in hair and braids is really destroying these young children's hair. And when these young girls get 10, 11 years old, 12, their hairlines won't even grow back anymore because it's been pulled so tight with these braids and these type of wigs like this. And the chemicals that are involved to do this type of work on the child's head is creating some serious damage to these children's hair.
That sounds serious if true.
And so I don't think, see,
but I still want
doing
some of
all
that
of
hair.
that doesn't please the child, it pleases the parent.
Well, of
you
course.
got me? And what I don't like, Charles, is do the research. You got more mothers willing to pay for all of this expensive hair, but won't pay for a tutor to teach a child that can't even pass the literacy test in reading or math.
Moms again. We
Charles,
got more
it's the
dads
truth,
not
because
doing
dads
the
ain't
damn
paying for the
thing.
hair. Dads ain't paying for weave hair like that,
Okay,
Charles.
well, I mean, you say that.
And we got more
but
parents
this is-
sacrificing financially for weave hair than we sacrifice to get our children tutoring in subject matters that they need help.
You know, if you look at a lot of social media commentary on these stories, there's a lot of racial edge to it. And I find that to be absurd, because this is not specific to Afro-Caribbean or African-American or anything. Throughout human history, you have had both parents, male and female, albeit mostly female, dolling up their kids to show them off as chattel as opposed to worrying about how they're being raised. I mean, you have John Benet Ramsey, the most famous story of all time with pageants. But I mean, this pageant thing is a real thing, and they spend an incredible amount of money to win some worthless
because that
trophy.
is a parent with a psychological inferiority complex.
Right, what they're
who's trying to live through that
living
kid.
vicariously
And you got
through
a
their
5-year-old
kid, right.
child looking like a 25-year-old
Right.
at a pageant. That's borderline child abuse, Charles. I don't want to see this happen to little children's hair, because the long-term residual effects of that damage to that baby's hair is because the parent made bad decisions. You don't have to do all of that.
Right, but it's the same thing.
Did you see that glue that they was using?
Okay, yeah. I mean, look.
I mean,
all
they
I
squeezed
saw,
the wig on, the glue, and
all I
all of
saw
that. That's dangerous, Charles.
was some bangs for me again. So if I get that number, the phone number, anything I want.
But at your age, you can make a conscious decision for yourself. Them babies are not making that decision.
I get it.
And then when they grow up, their hair is forever damaged.
This is part of the human experience, right? I mean, you remember growing up, you'd see kids, little kids. You know, people have gold bracelets, gold earrings. They'd be washing in expensive stuff instead of taking that money and investing in a college fund, right? The pageant game is so obscenely expensive. And you're right, oftentimes, if you look at the mother in the pageant, well, either it's someone that came up doing pageants themselves, but typically it's someone that has low self-esteem, has body image issues, and they are trying to put their child on a pedestal when they're treating them like a doll. Clearly, these parents are treating these kids in a manner that they think they will look better to reflect on them, not better for the parent, you know, for the child's sake.
And they don't really care about the long-term physical damage it's doing to the child's hair in the long run. They just want self-gratification through the child, and I think that's wrong.
And well,
Charles.
our medical industry really can't come in and talk about making bad decisions, because they're doing bad things.
But the weave hair industry is almost a nightmare in the black community, Charles. Do you realize, you may not know this, do you know that there are hair shops that sell hair that are financing the weaves now? You put so much down, you pull out a credit application, and they finance your weave jobs,
people
Charles.
want to look good.
Charles,
I mean, again, it's
what
you act
would
like
make
the
any woman in your
you
right goddamn
put hair on
mind
your head
use your credit score to get some weave, Charles?
Look,
are you serious?
Man, if you could.
So you got mothers having bad credit scores because they want some damn weave? Charles, finance something for your child's education long term. Finance something, Charles, for your family that enhances them in the long run.
Of course, people can make better decisions.
Charles, I understand that. I understand women that want to sow it so they can grow it. I understand women who want to glue it so they can do it, weave it to retrieve it. But don't you put yourself in debt for something like that? That makes no sense, especially when in the black community, we buying somebody else's hair to look like somebody else.
But here's the thing.
The Chinese selling us all the hair, but yet they won't let black beauty shops and black beauticians get in the wholesale business of that distribution of that hair. And I got one thing to say to you and to all black women. Show me any other race in America that's trying to buy black hair to put in their head. Why in the hell we breaking our necks to buy somebody else's hair to put in our head when ain't nobody trying to buy our hair to put in theirs?
Well, I will tell you, it's because people do things that whatever the popular culture is promoting and influencing people to perceive as beautiful. And now so much of it is algorithm driven, right? And we can piss and moan about it, or instead we can talk about solutions. So we talk about kids getting baby hair that is inappropriate, but we also have parents smoking meth, eating fentanyl, doing all kind of crazy. I mean, there are far worse problems. And here, instead, why don't we talk about solutions? How do we better educate parents to prioritize more important things for one-year-old children? How do we, especially in our immigrant community where this stuff is more popular, how are we educating young parents
first step with that for black
their kids
people,
to have a better life?
The first step
how
for
about
black
for all
people.
What's the answer
I'm
for all people?
starting with my own community first.
Okay.
Is to eradicate that black inferiority complex, to eradicate the black self-hate complex. That's the first step. Then that way we fall in love with our own hair. We fall in love with how we look. We fall in love with our own self-image. We're not poisoned with somebody else's image that makes us think that we are less if we don't look like somebody else.
You said you were going to talk about your community, so I kept waiting for you to talk about rich doctors and lawyers you live around, but instead you're talking about African Americans.
Black people who believe that we have to look like somebody else, Charles, to be accepted as a standard of beauty. That has to change, Charles.
Hey, man.
Remember the black doll complex? Where little black girls didn't want anything look like them?
And the truth is that has largely changed over the last few decades, and you don't want to acknowledge it because, you know, that's how you make money.
Well, if it changed, Charles, why in the hell we still buying all this weave hair?
In today's face-off, up.
From a Marine with a good standing LLC.
3 months of what?
The Disabilities Act, 206. So, if need be, can do less.
I'm confused.
I don't need 3 months worth of income. I need you to unbill it for me, okay? Okay. Oh, no. Get on your phone or your computer.
No, I don't take orders from you.
And you should not. You take orders from who you need to call.
Right. So,
is that something you need to help? Yes, help me please. My account was scammed. So after he watched me be assaulted by a group of police, they went into my apartment and robbed me and broke things. And used some type of card to scam my Navy Federal account. They're requesting bank statements. The bank statements are evidence of a crime that we're going to court for.
I'll get it for you.
Okay.
And this young lady has something that she has my LLC of good standing.
She's getting ready to get it for
all she has to do is print it out. No, I don't feel like sitting down, but you should invite yourself to the face-off. Yes.
Well, I don't even know. This is your story. I don't even know what's going on there.
You can't make it up, man.
Man, that seemed like some crazy.
You can't make it up, man.
Why were those cops just like in slacks? I mean, were they real cops?
She called the police, Charles.
What kind of police was that?
The community police, the city police.
Okay.
Because the apartment complex refused to give her back her deposit. Because it says on the application, if you provide fraudulent, false information, you lose, you forfeit your deposit. Well, she called the police demanding her deposit back because the apartment complex had discovered she gave them fake pay stubs. Why in the hell would you provide some fraudulent fake pay stubs and then call the police to say, help me get my money back? And I done committed a crime. You gonna call the police and say, help me get my money back, and I just committed a crime. What the?
I mean,
you can't make this up, Charles.
I hate to see when people quote like arcane statutes and suggest that they give them some sort of empowerment to do some crazy thing. Now, Maybe she's mad because she actually gave them pay stubs and they made a mistake. I don't know. I wasn't there. If the cops are friends of hers and they just showed up with her, completely inappropriate. I don't get the cops' function, because returning of a deposit is a civil matter.
Exactly.
It has nothing to do with the police, right? Police should know, and I wish we saw more of the encounter. I know that the headline of the social media post suggested that this was some sort of fake pay stub thing, but clearly she was irritated and talking in a high-handed, haughty manner to other people. Now, thank God they were all African American, because who knows what your take would be if one person was white and one person was black.
No, I don't thank God that they were all African American.
Well,
I thank God if it never happened.
Well,
I thank God had the fake pay stubs might have been provided, and this controversy had never taken place.
We're at least going to hear your true opinion.
Charles, she's the F up of the day.
Okay.
That woman is the F up. She's the Fox face-off F up of the day and the week.
What if she was right and they were wrong? We don't have all the information.
They had done a thorough due diligence check to see if those pay stubs were real. They were fake. Even the bank had acknowledged that they were fake pay stubs, Charles.
Yeah, you know, what's crazy is back in the olden days, like in the 2000s, in the 90s, people who falsified applications for government assistance would routinely get charged, to the point where you would have people charged that shouldn't. Like, I had a mentally handicapped client one time that had gotten a part-time job and didn't notify right away, and they like filed a felony on it, right? And I mean, this was guy shouldn't have been in court, and I was on one for that, and we're taking none but a dismissal. But it was a little bit overzealous then, but now they don't. It's hardly at all, right? People are just lying and cheating and stealing, and until you get millions of dollars. What was that, Tim Waltz in Minnesota? Someone stole like $200 million of COVID relief aid that was supposed to go to feeding kids. I mean, it has gotten crazy where people are just casual about stealing that government money.
That's it for the Face Off on Fox Soul. We'll catch you next time.